Okay, good morning. So I'm Barry Jackson. I'm in the I-Wing, student assistant specialist. So one of the things that I've noticed already this year, and we're in the middle of September, so we're not too far into it, is that there are little brownouts all over campus all the time about kids being sent home and teachers being sent home, quarantined, being exposed. And that's obviously very disruptive for everybody. Everybody's trying to figure out how to handle that, what's the best way to deal with it, how to not get too off track. Most people being sent home aren't sick, and so they should be fully functioning at home even though they're not physically here. So what I'm trying to do is give you guys a few pointers and a strategy so that when it happens to you as we enter the cold and flu season and you get some kind of normal cold and flu symptoms with fevers and whatever, it's going to mimic COVID, right? And you're going to be expected to stay home and self-report that. So that's the point of this video. So let's take a couple of minutes and try to have some thoughtful strategy, because guess what? It's probably going to happen to you at some point this winter that you're going to be exposed and told to stay home for a few days, or you're just going to wake up with a fever, a sore throat, a headache, combination of stuff, and you're going to be like, oh, I better stay home. I did that to myself the very first week of school. I had a fever and a headache and was kind of dizzy, and I went, oh my gosh. So I stayed home for a couple of days, got tested, just because I knew that's what everybody wants me to do, but I didn't have it, and I came back to work. Okay, so first and foremost, when the day comes when you get quarantined and you get sent home or you self-quarantine, first thing you need to do is email your teachers. Don't wait a couple of days. Don't say, well, if I don't go back to school in a day or two, I'll communicate. Do it that day before dinner, before you go to bed, whatever, and say, hey, I've been sent home, not sure how long I'll be out, I feel fine, whatever the message is, and communicate that now you're home for a few days, maybe a week or two, and you've got to stay in communication so you don't have to play a lot of catch up and make up a lot of work that you've missed, right? Because it's all going to be online. It's going to be through Schoology and other methods. And what you need to do is make sure you tell your teacher, you're home, don't expect me in class. Obviously, we have a system, but we're still kind of figuring that out here on campus about being on top of that, who's home for COVID and who isn't, right? So be in charge of your own day, be in charge of your own school reality, right? Because it's going to be just you in your reality, and the teacher might have 150, 180 kids, right? Any given day there might be 30 kids out of COVID in their classes. So as soon as you get home, email your teachers, let them know what happened, let them know what you think is going on. If you actually are sick, if you've tested positive, then that should give you a different conversation with the teacher, right? Hey, I actually tested positive, but I feel good enough to do some work and whatever, so I'm going to do as much as I can. If you're really sick, whether it's COVID or the regular flu or a cold or something, that's different. If you're sick and can't do the work, you can't do the work, but you can still communicate and get the opportunity to do some things, so you don't have to play so much catch up when you get back, right? Arrange online if you've been quarantined right away that day. Get online and find where you can get an appointment for a COVID test so you can get an answer right away and come back to school as soon as possible. It might take a day or two to get that one. I sent myself home essentially at the first week of school. That night I got online, but it took me several different locations to go through their online appointment process, and still late in the day, the next day is the soonest I could get it. So had I waited another day or a half a day, who knows how quickly I could have got my test, right? Make arrangements right away with a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend, next door neighbor, somebody who can pick up work for you, physical work. Because some of your teachers may say, oh, I've got a packet of stuff, if it's art or whatever. I've got a packet of stuff. Can you have somebody come by school and pick it up? So make that arrangement. That's part of that communication, part of that free flow of conversation you're going to have with each teacher, because each teacher is going to have a different agenda for you, right? So now you're online. You're going to have to go through Schoology. It's not going to be, live action on camera like it was last year on COVID. But what is similar is you're going to be home. You're going to have all your distractions at home. You're going to want to stay in bed. You're not going to want to get up. And we know from last year how destructive that is. That's destructive to your school reality and the grades you get. It's destructive to your mental health, to your self-esteem, right? And that's something you have control over. So pretend in your daily schedule that you are coming on campus every day. Get up at the same time, take a shower, same routine, brush your teeth, get dressed. Don't do school from bed, period. Don't do it. You're going to be tempted to do all of those things. Don't do it. No one is going to be able to make you from school. I'm just telling you what's in your best interest to stay in your groove, stay in your lane. Because if you don't pay attention to that couple of days, man, you are back in a place that's not very good, right? And it's going to be really hard to get out of it. So let's see. I'm just going to refer to my notes, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. If you have issues navigating any directions that you get from teachers through Schoology or whatever regarding computer work, please don't just be frustrated and turn things off and say, well, I'll do it next week when I get to school. That's kind of a formula to have this all happen in a very difficult way, right? So take charge of it. If I'm in Mrs. Mayer's class and she's giving me some directions and it's all about, go to this web page, do this, click here, do that, get this drop-down menu, print this out, scan this. If I don't have the equipment to do it or the computer skills to understand what she's talking about and do it, I'm going to be telling her right away that I can't figure this out. I need a little help. And based upon her schedule and my schedule, we'll have to try to get together at some point for a few minutes so I can kind of figure this out, right? Call a friend at school that's really good with computer work and can help navigate you through this. Maybe they can't do it till the afternoon when they get home from school, but okay. Take charge of your day. Take charge of your school, okay? Don't just sit on your hands and go, I'm frustrated, close your computer and walk away for 3 days and take a vacation. That is a formula for making this really difficult and getting behind right away. And what happens when we get behind? If we don't get on it right away, we get so far behind we give up, right? I've seen that happen so many times. And it's very avoidable. You just have to be on top of it, okay? It's not something that we enjoy, sending kids home, being quarantined. It's more work for you, it's more complicated, and it is for the teachers. So just understand we're all in this together, and we'll get through it much easier if we can freely communicate when we're having problems and frustrations. Don't be shy about it. Send lots of emails. Make a lot of connections through friends to get work to come home for you, all that kind of stuff, okay? Make sure that you, particularly if you're out for a week or two, you stay on top of due dates when things need to be turned in. If they're gonna waive something and just say, well, when you come back to school, you can do that, okay, that's fine. Make those notes. Get out a piece of paper and make these notes for yourself so that you can keep track of it. You don't have to go, wait a minute, did Mrs. Mears say I could wait till I came back to do that? I can't remember. Oh my goodness, write it down. There's no reason to try to remember all that stuff because you won't do it, right? If you are sick, if you truly get sick, whether it's COVID or anything else, and you don't, again, I'm going to reiterate that, and you don't feel good and you can't do the work, that's one thing, right? But you can still communicate. You can let them know I am really sick, or I've been sent home quarantined and I feel fine. So I'm going to do as much work as I can until I get back, right? That's pretty important. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to lay in bed all day and not do anything and realize at the end of the day or the end of the week, wow, I missed a lot of time. I could have at least done half. Half will put you way ahead of doing nothing, okay? And it keeps you kind of on track mentally, right? So remember, do your push-ups, go outside at lunchtime. If you're sent home for a couple of weeks, a couple of days, don't just be in your room in the dark, right? Bad news, not a good thing. That'll help propel you into a place of being kind of sad and lethargic and unmotivated. Go outside at lunchtime. Go sit in the kitchen and do your work. Go sit on the patio and do your work. Get in the sunshine. Do as much as you can to get out of a dark bedroom all the time. That's not a good, healthy place for you to be, okay? All right, so I will see you guys when you're on campus. Okay, bye.